Welcome to the Elevate Effect, the official podcast of Cedar Hill, Texas. I am your host, Mayor Stephen Mason. As the highest point from the Red River to the Gulf of Mexico, our thriving city is elevated in more ways than one. We will have great conversations with thought leaders and change makers, answer community questions submitted by you, and share important city happenings. Now, we are live from the Poetic Justice Studio at the Trafine Hickman Library in 3, 2, 1. All right. Hello, my name is Steve Mason, and I am the mayor of the city of Cedar Hill. You are listening to The Elevate Effect, Season 2, Episode 5. Today, we are coming together for an important discussion about one of the most urgent challenges facing the community: the mental health of our young people. Mental health specifically for our youth is something I am very passionate about as mayor. And today I am joined by two guests who both bring insight and lived experience to help us better understand and support the young people in our lives. Please help me welcoming Wes Woodson, public speaker, author, mental health advocate, and Yuwa Assih, Vice President of the Cedar Hill Maritime Council. Welcome to the Elevate Effect.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start with the rapid fire segment. All right, you familiar with that?
Yes.
All right. So, Yuwa, what is one thing that helped you reset after a long day?
Journaling.
Wes, same question.
Going for a nature walk.
Wes, who is someone you can always talk to?
My mom.
Yuwa?
My brother.
Yuwa, rest or physical movement to help deal with anxiety?
Rest.
Movement.
Movement. And Wes, the last one, busy or relaxing weekend?
Busy.
Busy.
Y'all both rather be busy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. So, Yuwa, I am so impressed with you, and we cannot do this interview without kind of breaking down a little bit about you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the room with the homecoming queen of Cedar Hill Independent School District. You want to kind of break that down? What does that feel like?
I mean, it feels amazing. It was definitely a new experience for me. I didn't really think about even running for homecoming queen. It was a very last minute decision proposed to one of my teachers. But during the campaign, it was stressful. It was busy. I would say it was even challenging at sometimes, at least for me. My friends didn't think so as much, but it was very fun. It was a very fun experience. I loved just being on the field. Once they called my name, it was amazing.
Man, I can't even imagine. So, I kind of want to break it down a little bit more because when you say campaign, and I'm a mayor, so I want to hear a little bit more about campaign. So how many people was actually candidacy pursuing to be a homecoming queen? And also, please break it down a little bit about how you got the announcement. How does that work out?
So if I recall, it was about 5 girls, I think. Yeah, I think it was about 4 or 5 girls. As far as campaigning, I had a running mate. His name is Javion. We both won. So we basically we used both of our organizations that helped us boost because we know a lot of people, and that helped because our friends and stuff would also help us with our campaign. So we had our friends, our organizations. Social media was a really big help, and we also gave out prizes for those who voted for us. And yeah,
I love it. So if y'all didn't catch that, it ain't just a popularity contest. There is a strategy when you are campaigning, and that's what she actually witnessed. So you probably didn't call it strategy, but there was a plan in place in order for you to at least pursue, for you to be able to win. So that's amazing. And before we move over to Wes, you are a Cedar Hill senior right now, and you have a GPA of
3.9 unweighted.
Ain't that amazing? She has a 3.9 GPA, one of Cedar Hill owns, and also she's pursuing some college credit. So you're going to be graduating in just a few weeks with how many degrees?
2, an associate. Well, 1, a degree and a diploma, but I call it both degrees.
Right.
So I'll be graduating with my associate's degree and a high school diploma.
Right. You're walking across 2 different stages.
2 different stages.
Ain't that amazing? Wow. Congratulations
Thank
to you
you.
on your major accomplishment. You have a lot more, and maybe we might talk a little bit more about that throughout this podcast. But I appreciate you serving on the Mayor Teen Council. You are our vice president. I am so excited about all the things that you have accomplished this year. So we look forward to talking a little bit more. Wes, we had a YAC summit. If y'all not familiar with YAC is an acronym, Youth Advisory Council, and it's a council that's actually throughout the whole state. So we actually hosted it here in our beautiful city of Cedar Hill, and it's basically a conference for our juniors, seniors, some sophomores to actually come, and then we actually give several different classes and different courses or segments for our young our youth to be able to participate in. Well, Wes was actually a participant of that. And can you kind of break it down? What was your experience of our Youth Advisory Council?
Yeah, so for me as a professional public speaker, my mission is simple. I want to help young students believe 3 words: you are enough. And I had a chance to come into this beautiful arena, and there's like 200 students there, more than that.
Probably, yeah.
And my mission was simple. I wanted to share my story, and the energy that I felt from the audience, they were so tuned into every word I had to say. It made me feel that, wow, there's so much of a hunger of having this mental health conversation with young people, not just in that room, but across America.
Wow. And, I'm just going to ask this question. I don't know the answer, but are you from Texas?
So originally, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
However, though, I've been here for the last 2 years, so now I would consider myself a Texan.
Okay, well, I guess we could. But I guess for you to be able to come to the Youth Advisory Council, the YAC Summit, and to be able to witness so much talent in Texas, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel so seen, to be honest, because for me, I grew up in a predominantly white community, and I never even was around other people of color. And to see students like yourself who see themselves in my story, I felt so honored to be in the room, because representation when it comes to the mental health conversation, it's a huge part of it. So the fact that I could play even a minor role, I'm honored to be there.
Wow. Thank you for from joining us.
Of course.
And hope maybe we could dive a little bit deeper. But tonight we want to talk about mental health. And in the U.S., 1 of 5 young people have been diagnosed with mental health condition. What do you both think is driving that? And I'll start with you, Wes.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of 2 things. I think the reason why more young people are experiencing mental health challenges is 1, because parental parenting expectations, but then 2, comparison amongst their peers. So I think parents, for me in my personal story, my mom always told me as a person of color, I got to work twice as hard to be considered just as good. But the question I had in my mind was, well, what happens if I'm not good enough? And I think it's that question of what happens if I'm not good enough that creates so much anxiety amongst young people today. But on the other side, when you're comparing who you are to your parents, or not only that, but to your peers, it then creates of like, well, wait, who am I if this person is getting to this school and I'm not? Like, does that make me less than? And I really think those 2 things combined creates a lot of the stress we see today.
Yeah. Yuwa, you have anything to add to that?
I feel like it's the same 2 equations that come into the matter, but I don't think it only stops at parents. I feel like it also comes from adults as well. I feel like in schools with our teachers, let's say a student isn't doing so good, the teacher would always be like, hey, I'm noticing some things aren't, based on your assignments or your homework, it's not looking like you're understanding the problem. But some teachers, they also compare that student to maybe the student doing the best in the class, or hey, why aren't you doing so well? Or they just start pushing negative thoughts to that student. And I feel like that could make the student think, okay, maybe I'm not good enough in this class.
Right.
And sometimes those grades drop even lower because they don't have enough belief in themselves. But also adding on to the comparison point, I feel like social media plays a very big role as well, because everybody's posting everything on social media these days. So it's like, hey, this person has a new phone or a new bag. It even comes down to new glasses somebody's got. I feel like a lot of the things people post on social media don't know what the other person on the side of the screen is thinking about what they're posting. And they just start comparing themselves to the itty bitty things.
Yeah, I can only imagine. You, the Mayor Teen Council, came up with a theme to talk about mental health for the Yak Summit. I don't know if you was part of that conversation or you led that effort, but can you kind of talk about why was mental health chosen from the Maritime Council to be able to have that to be the theme for the Yak Summit?
I feel like it was a very good theme, to be honest, especially since it's a lot of teens in the room when it comes to it. And especially since we're all in high school, I feel like it was a great discussion to have, especially since some of us are going into a new era of life, going to college. So having that conversation before moving on to that era of life is very good. It helps you think more about the topic itself. Hey, maybe I do need some help in this, or maybe I need to talk to somebody about that. So I feel like it was chosen just to make sure that students know they can go to someone, they can talk to someone, whether in their council, outside of their council, or just any other trusted adult that's in their lives.
Right. Amazing. Wes, you spoke to a room full of young leaders during the Texas Municipal League of the Yak Summit here in Cedar Hill. What's something that you told them that you wish somebody would have told you at their age?
That failure is not final. I think for me, growing up in school, whenever I failed an exam, I thought that made me a failure. And I've seen this pattern amongst young people where they might have a missed exam, they might not get into their dream college, and then they take on the identity of that must mean I am a failure. And I always go back to the story that my dad actually helped me understand. When I got into college, I went to this school and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in college now. And I ended up failing my first financial accounting midterm. And I never forget it. I'm in this bathroom after I got my grade back and I'm full blown panicking. I'm like, oh my gosh, the college is going to kick me out. I'm going to lose my scholarship. And I called my dad and I told him, I said, Dad, I just failed my first midterm. And he said, Wes, no one's going to ever ask you what you got on your freshman year midterm accounting exam. And that changed something in me. It changed my relationship with failure. So I encourage the young students to understand that failure isn't final. And it's not more than that. It's actually not a true representation of all that you are. And I think failure, in my mind, failure stands for first attempt in learning. So the fact is when you take that first step, it doesn't mean you are someone who's a failure. You're someone who's trying to learn. And I wish we taught more young people to change that relationship.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is very powerful. I think the challenge is it's so easy to verbalize that. But, for me, looking back at it, when I used to study and, I can make, I don't know, let's just say I made 98 out of 100. Yeah. That one question I missed would be the one that I remember. All the other 98, percent that I got correct, it just goes out of my mind, right? Yeah. But that one that I missed, so sometimes I feel like failure is the best lesson, and that's kind of how I kind of looked at it. But man, just think how pivotal it would have been. I don't know about your dad, but my dad, I would have been too afraid to make that phone call and say, hey, Dad, I failed. So I don't know if you felt comfortable making that call, but just think how pivotal that would have been if he would have gave a different reaction, right? That could have probably, changed the course of your, how you look at failure or maybe in your life.
Oh, I agree. And I actually, when I work with parents, I say this all the time, that kids don't become what we say, they become what we do, what we model. And my dad in that moment was actually modeling vulnerability. He even opened up about his failures. So when he did that for me, it almost opened up the door that I can talk about some of my failures with him too. Right. He was almost like this safe space I can go back to. And I wish more parents would be better at being safe spaces for their kids.
Yeah, man. You're a young person, but you're involved in our community. How do you think being plugged in is helpful for a young person's well-being?
I think it helped me a lot, and I don't know if this is bad, but it also, being able to join many communities and organizations, I feel like that forced me to branch out, to meet new people, but it also forced me to put the negative thoughts or anything that was on my mind, put it away for a second. And I don't know if that's bad in a sense, but I just know that that's what helped me. And on top of that, it helped me build genuine and real relationships with the people I would never thought I would ever be friends with. So with that coming into account, I feel like I created genuine support systems of people I can come to, people who can come to me, and we just have each other's backs all the time.
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And again, I think it's kind of easy to be able to say it, but you're showing actually an example. So believe it or not, you kind of make an impact. Somebody's watching you, and you probably won't know until the 10th high school reunion anniversary. But just keep soaring. Wes, many parents want to help, but feel limited, whether it's time, access, or just knowing the right steps to take. What are some things that they can do? Even what things that I can do in those moments?
To be more curious rather than critical. I think back to the relationship I have with my mom. My mom's actually a therapist herself, which is interesting because as someone who has anxiety, I always hear the fact of like, didn't your mom have all the answers on how to deal with it? Mm-hmm. But the reality was my mom in the beginning, she unintentionally was more critical than curious. What I mean by that is whenever I would open up about my problems, it was, well, just do this. Right. It was almost trying to fix the problem instead of hear me. Mm-hmm. And I think when we have a curious perspective, we ask more questions than we make assumptions. So one of the best things I actually tell parents to say, it's 3 words. It's tell me more. It's not necessarily of like, just do this. It's tell me more. And what that does is those 3 words, it opens up the door for your kid to feel like, okay, I can start to maybe share this about my day. Mm. Or another thing is I tell parents to ask more curious questions. So what I mean by that is instead of asking, how was your day? Maybe asking, who made you laugh today? Mm. Or what was the hardest part of your day? Or what was your favorite part of the day? Or my favorite, and this I do this with younger kids, so it might sound a little bit kind of childlike, but if your mood was an ice cream flavor, what flavor would it be? Okay. And it's a creative way to just get the conversation going. Yeah. I think when we think about the mental health conversation, we think it has to be so intimidating, but it doesn't. Dude, it could be human.
You dropped some nuggets there, man.
Just trying to help somebody.
Look, and you held one right here. So I'm definitely going to take your notes. It
makes you think, too.
Yeah, it makes you think, right?
Yes, and we got to kind of mix it up because if you are a parent and pick up your kids every single day, you're going to just automatically say, how was your day? Even just walking down the street, right? You ever see someone, hey, how are you doing? Yeah. Like, how was your day? And that's really it. But if you kind of just switch it up a little bit, like, hey, who made you laugh today? That right there will kind of get them thinking. It ain't just a standard, a quick, immediate response, right? Kind of a status quo response, right? You got to kind of think about it. Like, man, who did make me laugh today?
Correct. It makes them think. And I think we tend to, as parents, I mean, I'm not a parent as of yet. I just got married last week, actually. Yeah. So thanks. I appreciate that, family. So when me and my wife have kids one day, I want to help them understand that I know you might think as the parent I have all the answers, but I don't. And I want you to understand that maybe you have answers that I can't provide. And when parents can offer this safe space to have their kids almost have a sense of feeling heard, you'll be surprised. These kids shock my mind every single day. I'm 28 years old. And when I'm talking to like a 12-year-old, they learn more. I learn from them. I'm like, snap. Like, how did you even come to that conclusion? But even in when I first met you actually educated me on some things that I did not know. And we're probably, 10 years apart? Right. So there's so much that children know that we don't give them enough credit for knowing. Right. And we give them the space to feel heard. Yeah. I guarantee you'll be so surprised.
Yeah, yeah. It's just making me really reflect. Just last night I had a conversation with my son, and it was really awkward. I'm coming home late. I'm busy. Or I'm coming home late, and he says, I got 2 B's today, but I'm just so tired. I'm just so done with school, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I don't understand. Right? What happened? He says, I don't understand. He said, Dad, do you know what this trigger triangle mean? I'm like, no, I don't know. Actually, don't know what that means. I normally know everything you ask me, but that one right there, I don't know. Right. He says, I'm never going to learn this anywhere in life, right? Why do I need to learn this? So I said, son, let's break it down. Your teacher can't give you your response that you're asking, right? Because she probably doesn't know, right? She might be task oriented, and her goal is she needs to teach you this lesson. But I'm just going to put you on game. By the time you graduate high school, you're going to be dealing with robots. I mean, that's just a reality, right? Yeah, I mean, you're going to literally have a robot to do all your thinking for you. So how can you add value I want you to tell me, it's not a rhetorical question. I want you to tell, how can you add value? And I told him, I said, son, you're going to have to be a critical thinker. You got to train that robot. Well, that's what this teacher is teaching you in this classroom, right? She's going to teach you something that you may not ever use before, but the ultimate goal is, how can you conquer something you don't know? And that is kind of where we need to kind of go. So you just kind of validated what I did yesterday, man. So I thank you for that. But Yuwa, what is the hardest part? Because I need to know. What's the hardest part about being a young person right now that adults just don't fully understand?
Ooh.
Come on, I'm listening.
Wow.
I feel like, and I hope I don't mean this in any type of disrespectful way, in case it is.
Go ahead.
But I feel like a lot of the lectures that come from our parents or any adults, it's always, when it was back in my day, in my experience. And I feel like they don't understand that the shoes, I feel like they think that we're in their shoes when in fact we all have different shoes that we're in. So maybe a situation happened at school and your parent is saying, oh yeah, you'll be fine, this happened to me too. But sometimes back then a lot of things have changed since when they were in school, when they're in college, and all those things. Technology, bullying, the way we dress. So I feel like a lot of the experience that teens have today, their parents are always using their own stories to compare to their children. But in fact, we just, as Mr. Woodson said, we just want to tell them about it. And maybe we just want like a listening ear, not really a lecture or, what I should have, what I shouldn't have done. So I feel like they should give a listening ear to answer to your question, not really like always lecture, not always really, tell me or dictate their children. Just listen.
Could I add to that?
Please do.
I was gonna say you're 100% right, and I want to thank you for sharing that, because I think where a lot of parents might have a disconnect is like they mean well. They're really trying to your point about sharing these lectures of back in my day. I heard it too. My mom was an immigrant from Jamaica, and anytime I would complain about school, she like, I had to walk 5 miles to school. Man, so so we've been there before. I totally understand. I think though we're almost speaking two different language, because like my mom, she grew up in the 60s and like we're in 2026 right now. So the reality is, if you don't understand what TikTok or what Instagram or YouTube, anything contextually to now, it's the equivalent of you speaking Chinese and I'm speaking English. It's two different things. So when parents can understand how to create more bridges than barriers, that's actually what increases connection. So I wanted to just add on to what you said, because I think a lot of young people have this experience.
Right. You know, there was a movie shortly after I graduated. We ain't gonna count that far back, y'all. But it's called Baby Boy. And it's a classic, right?
That's a classic.
You probably haven't seen it yet
at all.
But it's all good.
Ooh, I feel like
I know, right? Golly. But anyway, there's a part, and one of my favorite quotes actually came from that movie, right? And he says, he says, Pete, look around, right? His friend named Pete. It's Tyrese. If you know Tyrese, he was in that movie. So Tyrese says, hey, Pete, look around. What do you see? What do you see? And like, man, what are you talking about, man? Just look around, man. What do you see? He says, everybody moving, making money, while we standing still being broke. I mean,
wow.
If you see Baby Boy, there's so many gems in there. But another quote that I wanted to say, well, there's a segment in there, because Baby Boy, he's like in his young 20s, right? Trying to think he knows everything about life. Think you can't tell him nothing. He think he know everything, right? And then there's an older man that says, man, you think everything that you doing is new. This ain't nothing but a rerun to me. But you made a point, right? The things that I seen in my day, I would have thought I was going to be doing a rerun. But it's actually, you are actually creating something new. I mean, we didn't have all these different type of technologies, social media. We didn't have to deal, with that type of mental health. We had mental health too, right? But we didn't have to deal with that type of mental health. So for you to be able to recognize what are some things that adults just don't understand, I think you hit the nail on the head. I got a question for the both of you. What are some alternate ways to clear your mind outside of therapy or medication?
Well, I'm going to use my own personal habits that I do when I just want to clear my mind. Every night, at least I try to, when I have a lot of thinking going on. I just finished an assignment. I just try to journal every single one of my thoughts, just put all of my thoughts into writing. And it's actually pretty messy when I go over it again and again. But I just feel like it gives me a way to release everything out of my mind, whether it's negative, positive, or just something that's been on my mind for the longest amount of time. So that way I go to sleep after, of course, giving myself some rest. So that way I just relax and I'm good to go for the rest of the night or the day, and my mind is just empty. And something else, I just do habits that I like doing. I like to bake. That really brings me some peace of mind, and I get a little treat after. And going out in nature and painting.
I love it.
Yeah, painting in the nature.
I love that.
Well, Wes, do you have anything?
Yeah, so it's a little bit controversial. I'm 28 years old, so I guess by Gen Z standards, I'm unk now that I'm married. So it's a whole thing. But I have recess. I have intentional recess. I don't think recess should have ended in middle school or whenever it did for you. You know, that part. But I really do believe that recess changed my life because when I could play, the stress is almost gone.
Yeah.
So I do it in different ways. I have an Instagram thing where every morning when I beat the sun, I wake up at around like 5:30 in the morning, and I call Operation Beat the Sun. And the reason why is no one's up at that time. Like my wife's asleep, no one's emailing me. I can just go into my little safe space that I have at my house, and I could write. I could journal. I could play a game. I could watch my favorite show. It's just for me. Or I go outside for a walk, and I leave the phone behind me. So the reason why I do that is because a lot of my work is on social media. I'm answering emails all the time. But when I could just kind of disconnect and kind of go outside, to your point, be in nature, my nervous system resets. So there's different ways that I kind of bring play into my life, especially as a perfectionist too. I tend to want to be right or be perfect in anything, but play almost gives me permission to just be. And I think more people need some more of that. Yeah. So I have recess every day.
That's amazing. Yuwa, you're so talented. I'm sure there's a lot more that we don't know from you. But how many languages do you speak?
I speak two. I speak English and French fluently, and I'm learning two of my mother's languages, which is Lingala and Swahili.
Okay. Wow.
Wow is right.
So I guess can you say in French that the Maritime Council has been a wonderful experience?
Ooh. Les ambassadeurs du maire de Cedar Hill sont what amazing et fantastique.
That's it.
Yep.
That is.
So the Cedar Hill Maritime Council is fantastic.
Yes.
Not amazing, but
yes.
fantastic.
Well, fantastic, amazing is kind of the same. So yeah, that's good. Wow. Well, I want to thank you both for your time today. This is actually great. Any last words you want to say before we wrap up?
Not on my part.
I mean, I would simply say to anyone watching this, you are enough just the way you are. That's what I like to end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you look into the camera and say that again?
You are enough just the way that you are. And if no one has ever told you this, remember all these three beautiful Black people telling you you are enough just the way that you are.
I love it. Wow. Well, look, I want to thank both of you for being here and having this critical conversation with me. These types of conversations and discussions are essential to help break the stigma and move us closer to towards real change. For more information on the Maritime Council, please visit the link in the show descriptions. Wes, would you mind sharing your website and Instagram handle so people can follow you?
Of course. You can find me at weswoodson.com and at Wes Woodson on all platforms.
Fantastico. Well, thank you both again for joining me today. Make sure you submit your ideas and questions for the Elevate Effect podcast below. Now, what's going on around town? What is our city happenings? I want to remind you that Music in the Park is back this June. Every Friday at Valley Ridge Park, enjoy a free night of live music, ranging from country, Motown, some of your favorites, and more. And also food trucks and the summer event outdoors. You got plenty of things to do in Cedar Hill on Friday nights. I look for you to come out and enjoy. Also, I want to tell you about whether you live in Cedar Hill or are thinking about planning a visit, take a few minutes to visit cedarhilltx.com. Again, that's visit cedarhilltx.com. It's a great way to get a feel for what's happening around town, from local restaurants and unique shops to upcoming events. You might even find your next favorite spot. You can find the link in the show description below. Now, one of my favorite parts is for me to be able to address questions from you. So I have a couple of questions here, and the first one I'll begin with is Jamie. What upcoming development or new thing in our city are you most excited about? Well, I want to tell you that Cedar Hill started a branding campaign, and really it's more of the tagline. The actual logo of Cedar Hill is still the same. I still love it, so I think our community does too. But there were several, stakeholders throughout the city that participated in this, and we actually have came together with the tagline, the natural heart of the Metroplex. So Cedar Hill is the natural heart of the Metroplex. So one of the new developments that's actually coming up is actually going to be our water tower. So it's under construction right now, but I can't wait for you to be able to see it. And I'll give you a teaser. Even in the evening time, there's going to be a special surprise. So stay tuned to what's going on with our water tower along 67. Next question I have is from Casey. If you had to describe Cedar Hill in 3 words, what would they be? Organic, amazing, and community. Those will be my 3 words that I would describe in Cedar Hill. Well, thank you for your time for us to be able to have this podcast, the 5th episode, 2nd season of The Elevate Effect. Thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Thank you. And remember, the art is not about making money, but how you keep it. Save and invest wisely and create generational wealth. Thank you.